Welcome to the Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Fit, the all-in-one AI-powered corporate wellness platform developed by Vantage Circle.
In the workplace, burnout is associated with various workplace-related issues like job withdrawal, absenteeism, intention to leave the job, and actual turnover. However, people who stay on job, burnout leads to lower productivity, hampering their effectiveness at work and overall well-being. Consequently, it is associated with decreased job satisfaction and reduced commitment to the job and organization. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast. We have today Dr. Rozina Lakhani, who is an executive coach, corporate speaker, and psychiatrist for over 20 years. Dr. Rozina has helped hundreds of leaders to reduce losses due to burnout-related injuries and have guided them in getting the right tools and action plans in place to become happy, productive, and healthy leaders in all aspects of life. Hi, Rozina. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for inviting. It's my privilege.
So shall we begin? So I would like to know what is burnout and how it is related to stress.
Well, burnout is a stress syndrome. So stress is kind of a confusing word. It kind of has included whatever is coming from outside, what we call stressors now. And then your reaction, body's reaction is stress reaction. And then if you continue to have stress reaction on an ongoing basis and your body doesn't get to balance back to your homeostasis or equilibrium, then the body develops stress reactivity symptoms or syndrome. Burnout is one of that syndrome. And recently, WHO recognized it as an occupational phenomenon. So when there is stress is going on for so long, like chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed, it becomes burnout. And there are three major presentation of burnout. That is, one is like feeling of energy depletion and exhaustion. You know, when you're so stressed and you keep on going on and on, you just feel totally drained.
Yes.
So that is the energy depletion. The second one is like mental distance from one's job or feeling of negativism or cynicism. Because you feel so you get disconnected with the job, and you've seen like a lot of people go in a certain job with a lot of passion and excitement, and they're working great, and then they start burning out and they lose that passion. They kind of lose that connection. So that is called the dissociation or mental distance from one's job. And the third one is reduced professional efficacy. So if you are not present-minded, if you're not focused, your productivity is going to go down, right?
Absolutely.
And so those are the three major criteria that WHO has recognized as part of the burnout as an occupational phenomenon.
Yes, I can get it. So how much do you think burnout is affecting employees' overall health and well-being?
So before, it was not recognized as such. Every individual, individuals who were going through that, they were recognizing it. But since, much everybody is talking about how much it is affecting, what people are noticing more is this great resignation we talk about, right? People are just leaving the job because they are just burnout. I just had another guest on my podcast, and I was a guest on her podcast, and she was an executive in a large corporation, and she felt so burnout that she quit her job. And so a lot of people are quitting their jobs because they feel like they cannot manage the stress or avoid burnout from affecting their health or their ability to function at all without quitting the job. So a lot of people are quitting the job. So we are finding the shortage. And then a lot of times people end up in the hospital or are sick or get into the accidents. And sometimes we go and treat the condition, if somebody is presenting with a heart attack, they treat the heart attack or pain or depression or diabetes, or broken bones, as happened in my situation. And so we go and treat the condition that is the result, but many times we forget what is the root cause of it, what led to that. And that is why I'm so passionate about helping people stop burnout before it turns into detrimental effects like accidents and injuries. We were talking earlier in terms of why I got so passionate about this topic. So I'm a doctor, I'm a psychiatrist for the last 25 plus years. And a few years back when I was leading my company, having a lot of stress, change, change brings a lot of stress, right? So there was a lot of change going on. We had moved, new employees, new policies. We were working on a lot. And I was working, doctors by themselves are like, a little too work focused, career focused. And then on top of it, going through the whole changes at my company was increasing my stress quite a bit. And I was not recognizing that I was on that path to burnout. Yeah. And so until one day I was driving back from work and I was feeling so exhausted and drained. And while driving, my mind started going to, oh, I'm feeling so exhausted. Tomorrow is my day off. What can I do to relax? Oh, I can do this, or I can take a tub bath or go to the lake and read something and relax. And here I'm kind of having these thoughts, and suddenly there was this large sound and big bang, and I just came out of that and realized that I was in a car accident. I had zoned out while driving, got into a car accident, and when came out, realized that I had broken my right hand, my dominant hand. Such a traumatic experience that, the whole focus on, oh my God, what happened to my hand? I can't move. And then, surgery and physiotherapy, and long story short, going through that journey made me realize how high risk of injuries we are at when we don't manage the stress well on this pathway to burnout. And I went through my own journey of recovery over several years, but then I developed this passion and a calling. See, as a psychiatrist, I treat people who are already depressed or anxious or having problem with ADHD. But there are lots of people who are in my category who are not clinically depressed yet, clinically mentally sick yet, that they would go and get the mental health help. But they're so stressed that they are really at high risk. And if they don't address this stress and burnout at this time, then they can end up where I ended up.
Yes.
And therefore, I call it stressors are like traffic lights on road of life. Stressors are like traffic lights on road of life. Sometimes it's green, everything is moving smoothly, and there is no problem. Sometimes it's yellow. You either have to collect all your energy and get through it fast, or you have to slow down, gather all your energy, and then start when the light is green. And sometimes it's red. You have to stop. You can't keep going. And so a lot of people are in the red zone where they can't go on if they have to stop. And then they go and get help. But a lot of people are in that yellow zone, like I was. And we keep going on and on and on. And then it can result in mistakes, costly mistakes. It can lead to loss of productivity. It can lead to this fatigue and exhaustion, and sometimes detrimental accidents and injuries.
I think, Rozina, you explained this, in a very enlightening way, the traffic light thing, because most of us, even if we know that we are in this verge of going into a burnout state or some mental or behavioral health issue, but still, we don't take measures. So I think this was a very good example for everyone. I think our listeners will be very much, an advantage after listening to this answer. Yeah. Thank you so much for this answer. Yeah.
You're welcome.
So moving to the next question, are mental health issues the most contributing factor to burnout? Can addressing these issues prevent burnout?
So burnout is, as I said, a phenomenon when the stress is not managed properly on a long-term basis.
Yes.
So any of the wellness programs that focus on improving the stress resilience and ability to cope with things, increases awareness of people, like, make people more mindful, so they things happening before it becomes worse, of course, is going to prevent people going from this stress reactivity to the full burnout. See, it's a continuum. It's not like, it's there and it's not there. It starts like, have you seen that image of the matchstick? You burn it. It's kind of a little bit on top. It's burning, and if you don't blow it, then it would keep burning, and the stick starts burning. And then if you don't blow it, the stick starts going really burning to your finger. And if you don't do it, then your finger would get burned. And then you have to throw it anyways, and in applying that analogy in a work situation, you start feeling a little bit, you have to blow it off. Doesn't happen, you start burning. So as the stick starts burning, it is affecting your body is burning, or your mind is burning, and you kind of develop depression or heart attack or high blood pressure or migraine headaches or acidity. They're all psychosomatic illnesses. So that is showing that your stick is burning. And if you still don't blow it off, then it is going to result in a point where you have to throw it away because you can't hold it anymore. And that is when you will stop able to work. You have to quit, or you are thrown out, or you are in a hospital bed because you're not able to function at all. And so it's a step-by-step journey, and if you can catch it, the best way is to catch it in the earlier phase. So your question, would the wellness programs help? It also depends on the wellness program, because some wellness programs I've seen is like not so much focus on, hey, you can just take the time off, or you can go take a vacation. And vacations do help, but if you don't train your brain to change your perception about your stressors, about your work-life balance, if you don't develop the habits of doing regular deposits in your emotional coping account, then you're still on the path to burnout. You may kind of slow down a little bit by taking the vacation, but unless you train your brain, what I say is like, you walk in the home and you see water on the floor, okay? So something is dripping and you would wipe the water off, right? But would you continue to just wipe the water off, or you go and find where the water is leaking from and turn that off, right? Yeah. So if you don't turn off the tap that keeps on dripping, you'll keep on wiping, but the water would continue, right?
Yes,
so similarly, the wellness programs that only focuses on wiping the symptoms and not address the root cause may not help as much. But if the program is helping both levels, also doing the basic wellness tools like, exercise, nutrition, sleep, taking the breaks, and the program that only focus on the physical aspect and don't work on thought training and mindset training may not work as well. May work still, because exercise, nutrition, and sleep are by themselves great stress management techniques. But I'm kind of bringing the emphasis on also thought training.
Yeah. So, Rozina, how can leaders recognize the signs and symptoms of burnout? What are the strategies to combat it?
That's a loaded question, but I'll take one by one. So, sometimes it's hard to pick up the burnout in the early stages. So leaders can start looking for, is there a change in their ability to perform tasks? Like they're getting overwhelmed by simple tasks when they didn't used to be. They are feeling, either betrayed by their organization, or sometimes articulate a negative tone regarding leadership or coworkers or the company. There's kind of a little sign. They display impaired cognition and poor judgment, doing minor mistakes. They seem to be kind of disengaged from work and kind of losing interest in the task. They overreact or underreact to problems or challenges. Sometimes they start using alcohol or drugs or start smoking more. They're kind of a little more agitated and are having more conflict. And then there's this new or intensified pattern of lateness or absenteeism. One of the biggest cause for absenteeism is stress. And sometimes what we call presenteeism is like now the person is there, but not mentally there. They have, and so therefore there's a sharp decrease in their work quality. And when workers feel that they lack control over their work environment and believe that they are being insufficiently rewarded and don't have access to supportive community, sense that there is an absence of fairness and are carrying the workload, the risk for employees burnout is high. And so in that situation, leaders need to be vigilant on these signs and focus on providing these support. So show the support to the employees during stressful work experiences, appreciate what is being done well, and so they feel rewarded, not just the material reward. Of course, money is always, not always, but many times money is a reward that people consider as reward. But there is a lot of reward that people feel internally when they feel like they're being recognized, that they're being seen, that they're being appreciated, their work is being appreciated. So that is one thing that leaders can do, not just leaders, but co-workers also. And also, in turn, many times the leaders burn out because they feel like they are not being recognized and acknowledged. And I'll tell you a funny story about it. So I'm in a leadership position, so a lot of times I don't get that positive feedback or reward. So one time when my daughter was young, she used to do Sudoku. And so every time she would solve a puzzle, she would come and I would give her a star and I say, good job. And so then one time I was busy doing something. And so she came in and I said, okay. And I did not give her that positive feedback. So she said, Mom, you're not giving me the star. And I said, okay, do you think you did a good job? And she said, yes. And so I said, okay, why don't you give yourself a star? And so I kind of taught her to do the self-rewarding. So I realized, Rozina, you need to do something like that. So, as doctors, one of the challenging things we have to do is finish your chart notes. Okay, so you're always kind of trying to finish your chart notes. So every time now, when I finish my chart note right in time at the end of the day, on my schedule list, I say, good job, Rozina. So I give myself a pat in the back. And so, so I would suggest to the audience, if you feel like you're not getting the reward from outside, especially if you are in a leadership position, then learn to give yourself a reward so that you can increase your resilience about your work.
Yeah. It's like agility is for everyone, be it for employers or employees. And recognizing is good for overall health and well-being, which is really important because for a leader to run the organization or the employees, he has or she has to be mentally or physically in that state so that he can, give it to others, right? So I think it's a win-win balance situation. It should be there. Mostly we tend to ignore this, we just focus on employees' overall well-being, mental health, but leaders, they also need that thing.
Therefore they're kind of at a higher risk, and therefore I work with mostly executives and leaders in organizations, maintain their capacity to give that positive feedback to others. And the third thing I would say is if empower everyone. I was just talking to one of my friend nurses, and she said, she came from one hospital where everybody was empowered and everybody could give feedback, and the feedback was received positively. So even a sweeper in the surgery area could, if they identify a problem, they could bring it and the team would kind of respond to and value their feedback. And then she went to another hospital where there was no acceptance of feedback, and even as a charge nurse, when she was trying to bring awareness to something not being attended properly, she was shoved down. And so she felt like, when she was not empowered, her stress level went up, she burned out, and she left her job. And so, again, empowering employees, listening to them, and then allowing them to generate solutions. So if they are bringing up, okay, this is an issue that we are feeling, okay, what are potential solutions? Let's focus on that. I remember one of the stories I was listening to somebody was, there was one really high functioning manager in a large organization, like just the second in command from the top person. And so he lost his father. And so he was kind of going through grief. And so he thought about, okay, how can I get back to work without, bringing myself fully to work? So he went and he talked to his supervisor and said, I am going through the grief. I would like to come back to work, but I think it would work better if I come back gradually. So instead of coming full time, if I can do part time for a week or two and then, come few days instead of all days, I would be able to perform better. You know what his supervisor said? I understand, but if we do that for you, what kind of example we are setting for other team members? And did not recognize that you're pushing this person who is your high performing manager, leader, and you are not even giving that person the courtesy of sharing a solution. What would happen? That person finally left that corporation, and you set up a bad, you're setting up, for example, for the rest of the team, that if you are not feeling well, just be present, come to the work, and even if you're not performing well, and that is the phenomena I was talking about, presenteeism. People are there, but they're not performing well. But if you let the employees generate the solution and say, okay, well, I can't be here full time, but I can be there part time, or I can have the hybrid work, or, some adjustment, then I would be able to perform well. Then that employee is going to engage further, maintain their ability to be productive and bring their best to work. And the third thing I would say, connecting employees with purpose and meaning of work. And so many times we're so much away from the end result. So like, is great. When I treat a person and they get better, I can see the effect, and it gives me the right feedback right away. And it gives the meaning to my work. The purpose remains. I had another patient who was a computer programmer. And so he just kind of did not feel the purpose in his work because he was so far away from the end result. And he was working in actually airplane manufacturing industry. Okay. So when we were working in therapy with him, so we said, okay, well, your job is to go look at all the softwares that are installed in the plane, right? So you are doing this inspection and stuff. But just imagine that when you do your job well, how does it help the end result? That means the plane is safe. That means so many lives will be saved by a safe plane. So your job is not just, working on this software, checking things on, but your work is actually helping save a lot of lives. And so once he was able to connect that purpose and meaning of the work with what he was doing day to day, then his ability to come out of his burnout state improved. And then, regular burnout awareness campaigns or training so that people are actually aware of what it is, how to recognize it, and how to stop it. When the stick is just burning a little bit, blow it off rather than letting it to the point where you have to quit or you are fired.
Yeah. So the last question is what is your take on corporate wellness program? Can corporate wellness programs help prevent burnout?
Yes, if they focus on the whole person, not just one aspect of thing, but if they address both the physical and mental wellness together, and if it increases awareness and helps them improve their perspective towards their work, yes, corporate wellness can help prevent burnout and prevent injuries related to burnout.
Thank you so much, Rozina. Thank you for your answers. It's so nice to have you here. Would you like to share how our listeners can reach you too?
So, a lot of my resources are available on drrozina.com. So DRROZINA, where my books, Stress to Joy, and my guided gratitude journal is available. My online course, 21 Days from Stress to Joy. And my podcast is also available, and a lot of wellness tools and tricks are available. So we all can work on improving our resilience. Like I say, our mind is the software that runs the hardware of our brain and our body. So that's why I share simple tips for mental fitness, so you can live your best life and perform at best at your work.
Thank you, Rozina, for the cherry on the top. I like the last part so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast. Please do subscribe to Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and our YouTube channel for new episodes.